we came to the conclusion that 75 basis points is the right decision for now. Well, we have a risk management approach where we look at different options, what are the consequences, and how can we best also change monetary policy in the future. And given the inflation forecast, given the difficult and complex macroeconomic environment, we came to the conclusion that 75 basis points is the right decision for today.
So the right decision for today, does that mean that 100 basis points or even something larger like 150 basis points could be on the table in the coming months?
Well, what we said today is that we do not exclude further interest rate increases and hikes. If you look at our inflation forecasts, it's still clear that there is a likelihood that the monetary conditions are not sufficient to maintain price stability over the medium to long term. And then, of course, we have to adjust our monetary policy in the future. We will have new information in 3 months, so the exchange rate may be different, the economic environment may be different. So we go from the decision to decision, from monetary policy meeting to the next, in a kind of a risk management approach.
How important is it for you at the SNB to keep pace with the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve?
Well, we look at our own situation, so we are deciding really depending on our inflation outlook, given also the macroeconomic outlook, we take that into account. But of course, if on the international level interest rates are increases, this gives us more room of maneuver because the interest rate differential has some impact on the exchange rate.
Well, one of the challenges on that front is that the European Central Bank meets more frequently than the SNB, every 6 weeks, versus you with only scheduled meetings every quarter. Would you consider an inter-meeting, an inter-scheduled meeting decision?
Well, only if it's absolutely necessary. So usually we take decisions on a quarterly basis. We have very good experience with that approach. But of course, we have the freedom to decide any time in between as well. But if there is no necessity, I think we will stick to our quarterly meetings. So far, that worked quite well. But of course, if we see something that goes really in the wrong direction, of course, then we can also take an intermediate decision.
What might go in the wrong direction? What are you watching most closely?
No, it's basically whether we come to the conclusion that the inflation outlook changed completely, so that waiting a couple of weeks is a problem, should not be done under those circumstances. But of course, because we have all the instruments here to gear and to influence monetary conditions anyway, I think the usual approach is the right one for this situation.
Today, you reiterated that the SNB is willing to intervene in FX markets as necessary. What does that mean in practice?
Well, the exchange rate has a big impact, both on inflation in Switzerland, but also on the real economy, on the business cycle. So in case the Swiss franc would again appreciate massively, that would then create very tight monetary conditions, and we have to take that into account. And for such a situation, I think we would then be ready also to intervene in the foreign exchange market and to buy foreign currency.